Dreams Nation. It's your boy, Jamahal, Sweet Dreams Hill. It's been a little while since I got into these breakdowns. We got UFC 314 going on in Miami this weekend. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes for the vacant UFC featherweight title. And man, it's a pretty stacked card. I'm gonna get into this whole breakdown. I'm not doing a war council for this one, so it's just gonna be a breakdown video. As you can see, I'm still back in my house, back in Michigan, and haven't really been been dealing with some things. As many of y'all know, my fight has been pushed back. It's not canceled. It's just postponed. Just a little bit of it's gonna have to wait a little bit longer, a little bit of time period to get fully healthy and get back to where I need to be. I've been dealing with some issues, and I like to go into this fight 100% healthy and 100 or as close to it as possible. As you know, over the last year, I fought twice, and both times I've gone into both of my fights. Maybe not the best, not in the best place where I want to be as far as my health goes. The UFC 300 fight, I took that fight on short notice while I was actually on a trip out in Anaheim. I jumped into camp 7 months after Achilles surgery, fought 9 months after Achilles surgery, and just since then, and then the turnaround with what happened at UFC 300, to turn around and then right back into another camp, which led to overcompensation and more injuries. The tears in my knee, which caused me to pull out from the fight that I was in over the summer. And essentially, I was thinking that the body just needed rest, needed time, needed to heal. At some point during the last camp, I refreshed the injuries that I was dealing with, and I kept pushing through it. I felt that the hamperings was something that could be taken care of by adrenaline, essentially adrenaline in the cage. Once I got in there, I felt like it would be good. It would do all the things I needed to do. A week before my last fight with Yair, I had to go. I remember, as many of you know, whenever I pulled out of the first fight, I had posted the 3 vials of the fluid that was taken out of my knee. I had 6 vials taken out the week before this last fight, but there was no way I wasn't going in there. No way I wasn't. I was gonna pull out again, and I went in and I fought, thinking that like I said, I thought the adrenaline would take care of it, and I'd be able to just be able to power through it and things like that. I feel on my worst day, I should still be the best in the world, and I'm not taking anything away from Yair. I mean? I know some people will see this and say it's excuses. It's not excuses. I'm just trying to be completely transparent now, to where people know actually what's going on, what I've been dealing with. And afterwards, I had some more MRIs. Got another fresh tear in another part to my leg. Off of that one, coming off of this last fight, and some other injuries and things. So if you follow me on social media, you see I was about a month ago. I was in Tijuana. I went down there to get some stem cell treatment, to get the stem cells out of the country down there. They're able to do a little bit more as far as stem cell treatment goes, and put a little bit more. It's a little bit more high tech, linked up with a phenomenal team down there that took care of me, got me in. And where we're at now with it is, I've had improvement on in certain areas, but ultimately, stem cells take time, right? They take time to heal. They take time for you to get your legs, or to get to work, essentially. And yeah, they the time that whenever I tried to I took about maybe like 10 days, 2 weeks off so I could let them work and let them get the thing, and then try to hurry up, jump right into camp, and try to just get after it like I normally could. And it was a setback. It was a setback, and these stem cells just need time to heal. So essentially, that's where we're at with it. That's how we got to the postponement, and that's pretty much up to date, up to where where we're at now. Like I said, the fight is postponed. The UFC will announce the date and location of the next fight. Sorry for anybody that bought tickets to come out and see me fight in Kansas City. Still go. It's going to be a great show. The card is actually stacked top to bottom, and it's a good time. It's always a good time to get out to these live shows, these live fights, and get in with that energy and just have a good night and enjoy some great fights. But speaking of great fights, moving on from that, we're going to transition in over here. And we have Alexander Volkanovski taking on disputed featherweight title of the world, vacated by Ilia Topuria. Like I said, I'm going to give y'all a little bit more as far as the breakdowns go. So I'm going to start at the last feature prelim just because, I'm a fan of Michal Olajaychik. I've watched his fights and he gets after it. He's fighting. How the fuck you say his name? Cedricus Dumas. Dumas. We're going to call him Dumas just because I can, like I already know I ain't great. I ain't the greatest with names. So, how do I see this fight? So for Michal Olajaychik, he's more of a guy. He's a brawler, get in your face, push the pace type of guy. Punches and bunches. Mix in some takedowns whenever he sees the opening and things like that. And I believe that type of style that he fights with works well for him in this fight. Dumas is a long, tall, rangy, hard puncher. Right? He's got an athletic build, taller, a little bit taller, skinnier frame, and he's got some speed. He's got some speed as far as his reflexes and his movement. But the thing is, his movement and his legs, he exposes his calf a lot with the way that he stands. So I could see Michal. For Michal, I'd say leg kicks, stay short punch, straight punches to get close in the range, chop at that leg. Hit him punches, eat up the body, some body shots, and work his way up to the head. I believe if he's able to get inside and continue to try to take him down, to mix him in with takedown and just short punches on the inside, and just puts him in a nice little blender of work like that, I believe he can tire him out. Dumas he doesn't throw with technique as much as he does just explosiveness, athleticism, and power. And I believe that's where Michal can get him into a blender work, kind of tire him out, and beat up on him essentially, and get him out of there if he needs to. I believe Michal could probably take him to the ground, work his ground game on him, work some ground and pound on him like that. Michal comes from a bigger weight class, from the 205 weight division, and he's used to fighting bigger guys anyway. So that's what I see for him. For Dumas, I'd say feints. He's got to work the feints because Michal gets caught in his rhythm of moving back and forth. Like his rhythm, it's very rhythm, and it's very easy to time coming forward. So I think a fast jab down the middle to catch him and initially stun him to put him there, and a 1-2 down the pipe could be pretty deadly for Dumas. As long as he doesn't overextend, try to keep that jab on laser point and ready to go. You don't have to sit so much heavy into the jab to where he's overextending. He's putting himself in just a standstill spot, as opposed to just making it fast, sticking, stopping, to stop all the motion and the movement and things that he's got going, and catch him down the middle, or even just feint the jab and shoot the two straight down the middle. Wouldn't be there. Also for Michal, I think the teep kicks will be there, money as well, but Dumas head kicks can freeze him as well. That's just how I see that fight. Moving on, we have Julian Erosa versus Darren to damage Elkins. Let's see what the height and reach is. 6'1" Julian. I thought Julian's taller, 3-inch reach advantage. I believe Julian's probably the more technical, cleaner striker and boxer in this one, and I believe that's what he should do to get it done. Darren's more of a he can throw big punches just like as anybody. It's a grown man. It's a grown man fight. You know how I see this is Julian has all the strikes up the middle, right? The jab, the cross, and the teep kicks. I believe jab, the cross, and the teep kicks for Julian would be money in this fight. Darren kind of holds his fist and he kind of leaves that center line kind of open. And then even with the way that he moves, he's not the most short chopping and sharp turning of his feet. It's a lot of hopping and a lot of just kind of weighing in on either the lead leg. He's really, really heavy in that lead leg. So I think the kicks for Julian Erosa will be there. And then the straight shots down the middle. For Darren Elkins, I believe he's got to make this a dirty fight. You got to get him up and get him into the cage, get him up against the cage, cut it off, make it a small area for him, and draw him into a brawl. I believe Darren Elkins only wins this fight with a brawl, drawing him in, hitting him with a big shot, rocking him, and then kind of working his way from there. Other than that, I believe it's a pretty tough fight for him. But yeah, this is how I see that fight. Moving on, we got Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. Lil Askren versus the trying to come in and try to take out the OG. These odds right here for me are insane. Plus 550, minus 800 is absolutely crazy. Jim Miller is dangerous, bro. Jim Miller has better striking than almost everybody that Chase Hooper has fought. The short combos on the inside, his counters are nasty. His timing is nasty. His jiu-jitsu is nasty. He's a very high-level black belt. He has more fights than anybody in UFC history. And I believe he's up there as far as the submissions go as well. So, how do I see this fight? For Chase Hooper, I believe Chase uses that youth, the youth and the young legs and the thing on his side to be able to bounce around and have that fast initial quickness. All right. Now, if Chase Hooper can play a good pop shot, popping him popping Jim from the outside, hitting him fast and you know what I mean, and stand back and stand defensive, I believe that's something that could actually work in his favor and give Jim Miller a lot of problems. I believe Jim Miller, he's up there. He's up there in age. Even though some of his counters are really, really fast. As far as keeping that high movement and high rate of pace like that for a long time, I believe Chase. I don't know if he's got the gas tank or or just the conditioning to do that. Just with a young guy like this, young guys typically don't get tired much, especially whenever they're accustomed to their main base is grappling, which Chase is a grappler. Above all other things, and I believe Chase could, if he does get it into get him down and get on top and start working him early on and putting Jim in bad positions on the ground. I believe he could wear Jim out. Do I see him absolutely just finishing Jim early on? Not really. Not really. But it all depends on how long it takes for him to get tired. I believe Chase can either get Jim down, get him into blender work, or need to be in and out, quick shots. For Jim Miller, he has to get inside. He's got to get on the inside of Chase Hooper's space, and essentially take advantage of the mistakes that he makes. Chase Hooper is like I said, he's a grappler. He's not a striker. He has had some success striking, and he does tend to strike sometimes, but it's like some looping like out there, and it leaves a lot of openings. Especially if Jim's able to just a short roll or just a short slip, a small slip, Chase is wide open after that. I believe countering with combinations to get off and get him out of there. Yeah, the combinations on the inside are going to be huge for Jim Miller. Low inside kicks, or low outside kicks, just low kicks. I believe Jim Miller should keep the kicks low, not so much try to turn over on big legs behind the knee or on the thigh. I believe low inside, low outside kicks could get it would be huge for Jim Miller, kind of taking him off balance and then being able to get in his space. Austin Hooper isn't used to the footwork, the striking footwork of being able to move around and flow and find that positioning from there. So he will kind of throw from awkward angles and spots where he kind of just roots his feet into the ground and could get him caught from there. And also, Jim Miller has a black belt of his own. He can get it. If he can get down, get hurt Austin Chase. I say hurt Chase would be the thing, and then get him down and get a finish from there too. I can see that happening as well. These odds are crazy. Next fight, Xiaonan versus Virna. I don't know how to say her last name, but it's fucked up, bro. Shawty look like Rob Schneider to me, man. I call her Rob Schneider because 100% she looked like Rob Schneider. I was like, damn, Rob Schneider in the UFC. But she's a dog. She's a dog. She's been doing her thing. She been working recently. So how do I see this fight? So for Rob Schneider, my bad, I ain't gonna do that to her. For Virna, I believe she's got to get inside. I believe she's just been manhandling chicks. I believe she's got the type of strength that, the ex of Rob Schneider will happen. All right, I'm done. That's the last one. But she's got real deal strength. She's really strong. She's been able to outpower and get just about everybody down and just implement her will on the ground for the most part. I'd say Xiaonan is like athleticism. She's got all the athletic feats in this fight. I believe her initial quickness, her jab, her 1-2 will be money in this fight because they're fast, and she has the footwork to actually bang, hit, and get back on that. I believe she should do that. Pop shots, work behind the jab, work behind the straight 2. Don't let her just bull rush and work the feints. Because sometimes Virna will just commit in, and then you just kind of throwing. Girls are just kind of throwing shit. She gets up on them, gets them down. As long as Jan is mindful of that, quick with her jabs, quick with her straights, and work some low kicks, and just the more intelligent and knowledgeable striker. I believe she can get this done. I believe the jab will be there. The straight 2, she'll have to find that a little bit more, but she'll be able to find her kicks. Like the straight kicks will be there. Gotta be careful, mindful of the takedown. But the low kicks, I believe the low kicks and the jab will be huge for Xiaonan in this one. Moving on, Dan, 50K Ige versus Sean Woodson. Now, this is wild just off the simple fact of Dan Ige is 5'7" and Sean Woodson is 6'2". All right. That is a massive, massive height of it. It's 7 inches in height, and he's giving up 7 inches in reach. Is it that one? Physically, all the tools are in Sean Woodson's corner. But how do I see this fight from my perspective? All right, so we've seen Sean be taken down before, right? We've seen him taken down. We've seen him controlled on the ground. We've seen Dan Ige. His wrestling is legit. Dan Ige has legit wrestling. He has the ability to get up there, as well as he's got big power with punches, so he can catch you on the inside. So for Dan, I believe that he's gonna have to deal with Sean's initial jab, the length and the pop from those shots that he's going to have coming at him. He's gonna have to get inside, land some body shots. I believe he should work his body. If anything, I don't believe he should go looking for his head. I believe that'll open him up a lot and leave room for him to be caught. But get him to the ground. I believe Dan getting Sean to the ground and taking the wind out of sails, tire him out. We've seen Sean be taken down. We've seen him get put in a blender work and get tired. But we've seen Dan at a high rate, 5 rounds, go a high pace, and not really welt or wither or anything like that. I believe Dan has to put a pace on Sean. He's gonna have to put a big pace on him, get him tired, get the win out of cells, get him anything you can to get him from using that reach advantage that he has. And usually to use a reach advantage, you're gonna have to have some type of explosion, some type of pop, some type of. So you take that out by putting him down on the ground and just kind of controlling him, beating him up on the ground from there if you can, but mainly controlling him and just grinding him out on the ground. For Sean, just use that link. Jabs, good jabs, good long punt combos, feints, things of that nature, and some kicks. Some teep kicks if he's got them, some low leg kicks, he's got those. The leg kicks might be a danger to get him taken down, but I believe his boxing is wide open here just because of the height advantage and the reach advantage. He's going to have to be defensively sound at the end of his combinations because Dan is going to throw back. Whenever you touch Dan wants to touch you back. Pause. That sounds a little crazy. But, yeah, essentially that's just how I see this fight. Moving on to the main card. Dominick Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. Good fight. Right up in my division. Dominick's been able to pull himself up the last couple fights, get a couple wins. But Nikita Krylov. Taking out Ryan Spann last fight with the submission. Oh yeah, he's been on the tear. He's been on a win streak, 3-fight win streak since losing that submission to Paul Craig. And losing to Ankalaev. Yeah, man. So how do I see this one? Well, Dominick is athletic. So Reyes is athletic. He's got really, really good movement in his feet. As far as like for his size, whenever you start to press it, when saying that, what I mean by that is he can go backwards and have people throwing at him. He can still spring back off that back leg and throw back and counter and throw some pretty devastating shots from there. So Nikita Krylov is gonna have to watch how he pushes the action. For Nikita, I believe he should push the action. You're gonna have to push. You're gonna have to get in his face. You're gonna have to make it uncomfortable for him. Mix in the grappling, which he does very fairly well, that's his game. He'll stand, he'll pick his shots from the outside, work his way in after he has some success, and work his way to the takedown, which I believe that's what he should do in this fight. Dominick Reyes, one thing I've noticed, he has a tendency whenever you swing, if you swing big and you're able to get it in his face fast, he covers up. He shells up. Granted, there will be a counter at some point coming back, but initially, if you can get a big shot and some follow-ups on him, I believe he'd be able to get right in and right to the takedown because Dominick kind of shells up really, really big whenever he feels threatened. For Reyes, I believe the leg kicks. I believe Dominick Reyes has some pretty devastating kicks. He has some very, very powerful kicks. I believe he should work those. A lot of times he throws them without there's no goal for it, right? So he'll just be throwing kicks out there and they're not landing in the spot spot. And then he'll hit the leg and be like, damn, he hurt the leg. Then he won't go back to the leg. I believe he needs to work his kicks with a purpose. Either work to take out that leg or work to beat up the body and get and start to get his hands down so you can start landing some of those shots. Because the way Dominick kind of rocks like this and throws his punches, he loads up so you can usually typically see him coming. I believe against Nikita, that's a dangerous thing to be doing, bro. It's a dangerous thing to be doing. But for the most part, that's how I see this fight. Moving on. Bryce Mitchell versus Silva. Yo, this fight has been this is probably one of the most hyped fights on this one, just because of a lot of controversy around Bryce Mitchell, and Silva has kind of rode that wave of everybody hating on Bryce and things like that, and plus the guy's been doing his thing. He's on like a 12-fight win streak. He's been knocking guys out since he's gotten to the UFC, and has been pretty dominant here of late. He's looking to break into the rankings with this one, and to me it's a really good fight. You know, people for all the hate that Bryce Mitchell was getting right now, and it's all shit on Bryce season right now. Y'all forget Bryce is a bad motherfucker, right? Bryce is game. He's very dangerous. He's good striking. He has good hands. He has good boxing, and he has world-class grappling, right? So, how do I see this fight? So for Bryce, I believe Bryce needs to work his striking the way like he does. You know, Bryce is really good about flowing. He's really good at flowing, standing. He's good at rolling some shots, taking some shots, and then firing back and mixing his kicks in and mixing everything in there. I believe Bryce should do that. Get in his face, mix everything, mix it up with him, make him defend the takedown, make him worry about the takedown, and then let his hands go. Bryce has gotta let his hands go. One thing I've seen from Gene Silva, he does get hit. But he starts to get into this whole antics thing where it's whoa, like all like this, shaking hands with guys and shit, and it kind of gets him all low, which kind of gives him a nice little reset, and then he ends up dropping the guy. You don't have to worry about that in this one because Bryce does not like this guy. This guy's been antagonizing Bryce now for a couple months, and Bryce is ready to get after him. So I don't believe there'll be none of that. I believe Bryce will be straight to business, and the odds in this fight is absolutely crazy. Bryce is a huge underdog in this one, and I just think Bryce has more ways to win. Right. Essentially, I think Bryce just has more ways to win with the from how strong of a grappler he is to the fact that he's got pretty nasty and good hands that can catch you there too. For Gene Silva, I believe that he's gonna have to he's got to catch Bryce in a mistake. While Bryce does blend his striking in well, sometimes whenever he's striking and switching, it's almost like he kind of freezes a little bit or kind of gets stuck, overloaded with what he's trying to do with all the things that he can do, and kind of gets stuck there, and then he's there to be hitting. It's almost like a little hitch in the tail in between his movement and from whenever he wants to shoot to whenever he wants to go forward. I believe Gene Silva should stalk him down, corner him, press him up against the cage, work your jab, and then just work your feints to get in and to draw something out of him. He's going to have to draw something out of him and then clip him, and then counter with combos. The counter with the combos off of whatever Bryce does, because I believe whenever Bryce comes forward, it's going to come in storms of what he wants to do. So Gene's going to have to be able to disrupt that storm and land some pretty big shots. That's how I see this fight. Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Patricio making his debut from Bellator. He's been one of their top guys down there doing this thing. Been a world-class striker, and Yair has been at the top of the featherweights now for a while. Put on some very exciting fights. Fought the best of the best in the division, and coming off, I believe it was a loss to Brian Ortega. Submission to Ortega, where he was actually, it was a good fight. And now he's welcoming the new guy. So, let me see it because I believe Pitbull looks kind of short. Yep, so he's 6. He's 5 foot. He's 5'6" and 5'11". So he's giving up about 5 inches in height and giving up 4 inches in reach. Okay. So how do I see this fight? Well, he's not only giving up that, he's giving up a huge speed advantage. Not very many people in the world are as fast as Yair Rodriguez at welterweight. At featherweight. Dude is fast. He's creative. His kicks are lightning, and he's just has a full arsenal of things that can knock you out and put you away. It's definitely a tough tough assignment to get for your first fight in the UFC. Obviously, he's already fought in a world class promotion, but there's no bigger stage than the UFC. How I see this fight is Yair being the faster fighter, longer. I believe he should work from the outside, work his jabs, work his kicks, low to medium to high, deep kicks. Be the open up his stuff. Work behind these things to open up his creativity. Right. Once you start tagging a guy with a jab, and you start tagging him with low kick, with hard kicks that you know are hitting him or at least stopping him, even if it's to the body and he's blocking him. Right, you can start to get the timing and figure out where he is and where he's going to be, and that's when you can start to open up that creativity. And I believe that's what Yair Rodriguez should do in this fight. Fight smart, be the faster, longer guy from the outside, and just let him make a mistake. Let him come in making a mistake. Patricio does not have the best footwork, especially whenever it comes to closing distance. Like he tends to lunge. He tends to lunge and just reach for you from the outside. I don't recommend that with the faster fighter or the guy who's also got unorthodox strikes like Yair Rodriguez. But yeah, for Pitbull, I'd say you gotta slow him down. You gotta slow Yair down in some type of way, whether that be clinch him up against the fence, which maybe not make for the most exciting fight, which will be okay, bro, in this fight, because you're fighting a guy who's so dynamic and has so many different weapons that if you get into that fight, that type of fight, exciting fight with you, he could very well put your lights out in a devastating fashion with some crazy shit that you don't see coming, like a wheel kick or like a axe kick or some crazy shit like that, right? So you don't want to a question mark kick. You don't want to be faced. You don't want to be faced with that. So I think push him up against the cage, beat him up, try to hold him up against the cage there, make him work, put him in the blender, work there, chop at his legs, and try to batter his legs and then corner him, and then unload some shots from there. Get time one of those, try to feint him, set him up to time one of those entries, but you never know what's coming your way. So, like I said, that's how I see it. You know what I mean? I don't have much to go on either because I didn't really watch many of Pitbull's fights whenever he was in Bellator. A co-main event of the evening: Michael Chandler versus Patty the Batty Pimblett. Now, I wanted to look at the height, reach, and all of that with this one too. All right, so he's only 2 inches taller than him. Only got a inch and a half inch reach, so he's not that much bigger than Mike, right? He doesn't have that massive size height advantage, and like just size advantage like he seemed to have over Bobby in his last fight, because he looked like he was just towering over Bobby. He's towered over a couple of the guys that he's fought, and from a stature standpoint, matched up pretty fairly well. Michael Chandler is a very, very diesel lightweight. You know, he's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of athleticism, a lot of explosiveness, right? And he hits hard. And Patty gets hit a lot. He and whenever he does get hit. He gets hit with some pretty nasty, clean shots. Now he's survived this long, and he's shown some true toughness from some of the shots that he's eaten. That being said, he cannot eat those type of shots in this fight against Michael Chandler. All right. For Mike, Patty is not the most polished striker. What he is, he's a banger, bro. He's gonna get in there, he's gonna throw down. So he's gonna throw all type of shit to keep, you know what I mean? He comes in good shape, and he's able to just grind it out. You know what I mean? You can tell that this kid works his ass off. So for Mike, I believe he's gonna have to work the jab. He's gonna have to work behind the jab and work behind the feints, and extreme patience. He's gonna have to show extreme patience because Patty's not just gonna go in and rush. He's gonna be where he's gonna know that I don't want to get blasted by this guy. I've seen him hit guys with big shots and put them down before. So I believe that he's gonna have to be patient. He's gonna be patient. Work behind the jab. Work behind the feints. Work behind some kicks and the body. Jab. I believe his jabs, instead of just jabbing and instead of trying to jab up top, I believe a feint up top and a jab to the chest would do Mike some good in this one. Jabbing to the chest, landing that two to the body, and then coming upstairs with that hook like he did against a Dan Hooker. I believe that's one thing that could work dividends for him. And then just that being explosive and being try to work him from the try to be first, be that more explosive, that faster guy, and show some veteran patience. Veteran patience would be huge for Mike in this one, just so he don't tire himself out and blow his load. We've seen Mike go all in the first minute or so in a fight and end up getting tired, and it shifts the tide pretty fast. For Patty, I believe Patty should work the kicks, just like he did in that last fight against Bobby. Heavy kicks to the body, heavy kicks to the leg. Mike is very, very heavy on that lead leg, and he leaves it out there to be chopped. So I believe that Patty chopping at Mike's leg will take away from that explosiveness and take away from some of that just that raw athleticism that he has, and work from there. Work to get him in those. Work to chop at that leg. Mike don't have the best boxing technique. It's kind of like a step in. He has to step in rather than just sit and turn over from there. Turn over from the power spots and just from a technical spot. So he does use his legs and use his whole body to explode in and knock your head off. Patty take out those legs, chop and use those to work up to the body. And then you'll start to fire your shots from there. As you start to batter the legs and beat up the body, I believe he'll start to find. He can find shots from there, whether it be a long 1-2 and all or other things. Mike can slip. He has that explosiveness to make you miss off that initial fast twitch to make you miss the first shot. But if Patty can line up like we've seen him go long jab and then step in, throwing a couple hooks. Those could work there, because after he used that first initial to move out of the way, he's kind of out of place and out of alignment to where he should be, and he's susceptible to be getting hit with shots that he might not be able to counter. He will just have to retreat away. So I believe Patty should stay on him with the kicks and stay in his face. That's how I see this fight. Moving on to the boom boom. Boom, boom, main event of the evening. Alexander the Great Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Lopes. Let's look at the height. 5-inch height difference. Lean towards Lopes. 1 inch advantage. 1 inch reach advantage. So Volk is short, but he's got long ass arms. It's a good fight. It's a good fight. So I think a lot of what we were seeing in terms of this fight is recency bias. There's a lot of recency bias because I believe Volk's last 3 fights. He's lost his last 3 fights. So he went up and fought Islam and lost the decision. A lot of people felt that he won, but ultimately it goes down as a loss in that one. And I believe that that's like Islam is the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now. He's a phenomenal fighter. So there's no shame in losing that fight. Then the one where he lost the head kick, where he was head kicked by where Islam head kicked him and put him away there. That was a tough one. That was a tough one as well. Then to come back down to featherweight and then run into Ilia Topuria and then lose that one via KO with a nasty strike right hand from Ilya. And Diego's just been on a tear. He came in, made his short notice debut against Mozart, which I was there live. I saw that one and put on a phenomenal show against an undefeated prospect and high-level wrestler and showed that he was game to be at top. And it's from there to beating Brian Ortega in his last fight, beating the likes of Dan Ige, and things like that. So he's shown that he belongs at the top. I call him Mr. Dynamic because the kid is dynamic everywhere. He's the dynamic striker. He's got dynamic grappling. He's just dynamic, bro. So, yeah. How do I see this fight? All right. So, Diego in his last fight against Brian Ortega caught Brian Ortega early, right? And I go back and I look at where he was catching Brian Ortega at in those fights. He was catching Brian Ortega whenever Brian Ortega was peeking from the outside. Whenever Brian Ortega went to go commit, he would throw in his combination. He was really, really good about interrupting Ortega's combinations and then his forward movement. He was hitting him as he came to him. And but the thing is, a lot of those punches, whenever he was hitting Ortega, his head was down. So he wasn't exactly looking at Ortega where he punched. He was just kind of timing where he knew he was going to be. You know, you spend enough time sparring and stuff in the gym, you know where you're going to get your lands and things like that at. So, yeah. But also, off of that whenever he was hitting Brian, right off of that, you know, obviously he hits hard, so he was kind of getting him to go back. But his follow-ups, kind of seemed were stretched a little bit, and he doesn't exactly see. He's not exactly seeing exactly everything that's on. So it's kind of like he just gets in this thing, and it's just like, oh shit. Yeah, so he kind of got into this thing of, all right, this is when I throw, and things like that. For Volkanovski, if you look at the Max Holloway fight, the last fight where he fought Max. Right, so what was he doing, Max? Max had about a reach advantage, and Max is a little bit more aware of keeping his eyes on you, boom, 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 intentional combos, slipping, and wanting to rip to you. So Volk was setting him up off of when he wanted to throw back and when he wanted to counter. All right, and the reason why I'm pointing this fight out in that is because Volkanovski, the level that he did that to in that fight, if he can do it to that level in this fight, is a very, very tough fight for Diego at that point. Right, so Volkanovski is fast. He's fast. He's got good setups. He does everything, and he does everything well. I believe Volk needs to draw Diego's counters. So a fast jab to get there. A lot of feints, which Volk does a lot. He's really, really good at about getting in there, faking, drawing out an initial strike from you, countering that strike, and then waiting. And slipping and countering that next one. I believe that's what he should do. Volk's initial attack is going to have to be to draw something out. So once come in, jab, step inside, draw out the counter, which, like I said, Diego throws without looking, kind of with his head down, and it's kind of just like almost like a reflex and a reactive throw. If Volkanovski steps in with that in mind to set that up, to draw that out, to counter it, I believe that's where Volk could really, really shine in this, with combinations off those counters, big shots to the low kick for Volk. I believe will be there as long as he sets it up, not really throwing it naked, he's just kind of standing, not standing in front of him or nothing like that, but feinting, kind of keeping Diego guessing, and then drawing out counters, trying to draw him out into countering him like that. Plus, Volk is a little bit shorter, and a lot of those punches Diego was throwing, he was throwing like overhands, things like that. Overhands typically don't work on the shorter fighter, so he's gonna have to punch straight, keep those punches on cue and on point. For Diego, I believe Diego kicks. I believe he should be kicking the shit out of Volk, like kicking his leg, kicking his body, kicking up to the head. I believe the height advantage and the leg length that Diego has to work with in this one should definitely be used in that way. long jabs, and just heavy kicks. Because we're also with kicks that makes you kind of stop somebody from shielding up in you. If he's throwing combos, when he does get in his hand, finish him up with a heavy kick behind him. Because like I said, Volk plays that got you, oh, pow, pow, pow. You know what I mean? And the counter game, that draw out, come in, pop, 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 draw something else out of you, and then counter that big, right? How you stop somebody from being in position and just being ready to counter you? You give them something big to worry about, which would be like that kick. Pause. Any of that sounded crazy, but yeah, I believe big kicks from Diego would kind of slow down that whole keep Volk from playing that little in and out pick and pop game that he does so well. Big kicks around kicks, teep kicks up the middle to the body, to the sternum and to the chest, and makes sense some grappling. I believe Diego physically and just explode like with his explosiveness. I believe if he can get Volk defending some submissions to kind of tire him out a little bit too, I believe that'll work big for him too, because I believe as far as impact on the shots landed when they land, I believe Diego will be able to take more of Volk's shots than Volk will be able to take of Diego's shots. So yeah, man, that's just how I see that one. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that big kicks, blending in the kicks, making using the kicks to offset Volk's position to make him kind of shell up and make him not so eager to counter is one thing, and Volk's gonna have to work the feints, the in and out counters, and be on point with his eyesight, his quickness, seeing what he does, and then his reflexes to counter what he draws out of Diego. And, that's how I see this fight. All right, y'all. Well, there we have it. It's my breakdown, my assessment for UFC 314. Like I said at the beginning of the video, sorry for anybody that paid for their tickets to come to Kansas City to watch me fight. I always loved it's about as close to home that I've fought since I've been in the UFC. So I was looking forward to that one. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. We still have the same fight. I asked UFC, please, make sure we keep this same fight intact. I want the same opponent. I don't want to fight anybody else. This is the only person I want to fight right now at this time. And, being a former champion, being in the top 5, I kind of hold the keys to pushing upper in that in the weight class, which is where Khalil eventually wants to be. So, appreciate you waiting, but it makes sense that you do. So, that's just how we're doing that. We're gonna keep training. We just gonna keep rocking it out. Sweet Dreams Nation, fight world. Appreciate y'all. Another breakdown, and enjoy the fight.